What is up, guys, and welcome to Backmarket Simulator 2022. We're here for the Italian Grand Prix, episode number 77 here of this career mode series, and I am keen to get stuck into things. This is set to be hopefully a pretty good round for us. We've got a couple of upgrades heading our way for this race. We had the major brake upgrade. I think we had some rear downforce. I can't bloody remember at this point. It was at the start, like 10 seconds ago, so pause it on that if you want to see exactly what it was. But the upgrades mean that we are pretty much level pegging with Mercedes, Renault, and Ferrari. We could easily topple any of those teams heading into this weekend, especially when you consider that Monza is a strong track for the player. You can see quite visually there in practice too. We're only 3.5 tenths away from Sergio Perez in the Williams. But overall this weekend, I found the pace of some cars to be really weird. Like, you'll notice this over the course of the weekend, but there was always one Red Bull that was fast at a time. And I'm not too sure why. That was all through practice and qualifying. And yeah, just keep an eye out for that. But anyway, heading into the qualifying session, we're going to make sure that we absolutely put the freshest components we've got available to us in our bank of components. And hopefully that'll give us a competitive edge in order to get some more points this race weekend. Obviously I want to beat those teams around us, but I feel like with these big upgrades that we've got coming in, we could potentially mix it with some of the bigger teams and cause a couple of upsets. We'll wait and see though. Danny, lift your game too.
Practice is all wrapped up as we move into qualifying here at the Autodromo di Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. Any moment now, the teams will be heading out onto the track.
Yes, we will. And that man right there is poised pretty well this weekend. Racing Point has made some huge strides towards the front guys. They could easily cause an upset themselves this weekend. So a lot of teams to potentially watch out for in this season of career mode. But if this is your first time watching my channel, please subscribe. Or if you are a career mode fanatic, make sure you hit that like button to keep this series going. That's not a threat or anything. It's not going anywhere. I'm just saying I would appreciate your support. But anyway, qualifying one, you can see we come across the line and we actually go provisional pole position with a 1 minute 16.7. We return to the pit lane. We're ahead of both of the Red Bulls. How is this transpired, you may ask? And well, the answer is 0% AI. 0% AI. That is the difficulty I have been running at this weekend. Plain and simple. No other explanation apart from that. A lot of people would lead you to believe that would be the case this season, but I have not played around with the difficulty or anything. I told you guys that this track is somewhat easier to beat the AI at, but it also plays into the strengths of our car. We don't really have that much downforce anymore. We're pretty decent in a straight line. Drag reduction is pretty good. We do have one more ultimate upgrade to go. We see our teammate go P5 and pretty much match us.
We're top of the speed trap, 359.1 kilometers per hour.
So maybe not 0% AI like I was alluding to. Finally, my teammate steps up and does something notable in this career mode. It is a Toro Rosso double appearance in the next part of qualifying. And we are really solidly inside the top 10. So I had a feeling there might be some upsets this weekend. And it looks like that is coming to fruition. We move on to qualifying 2 now. We set a banker of a 17.1, which 4 tenths lower than what I managed in Q1. Danny surprisingly doing the exact same thing. However, in my defense, I was using a used set of softs. One of the tires in which we used in the last session. But anyway, we go out towards the end of the session now, and we're going to see if we can improve on that time. I'm pretty sure we will. The track is more rubbered in, and we have a good chance of doing so. Look at Lucas Weber there in P9. Like I said, it was only like one Red Bull kind of performing per session, it seemed. And Lucas is the one that's floundering a little bit here. Could we potentially, as a team, Toro Rosso, knock out a Red Bull in Q2? If I improve, and if Kvyat improves, then Lucas is on the bubble. So let's see. We come across the line. We go P5. We'll keep a keen eye out from our teammate, but he doesn't improve. from the banker time. The banker time that he set at the start of the session of a 17-1. He only did one run in the entirety of the session. And he did it at the start. He didn't go out again. So, Danny, I don't know what you are doing there, but you have massively dropped the ball, which is really unfortunate. If he would have done his Q1 time in Q2, he would have got through to Q3, which is the most annoying thing. So, my teammate needs to make some better decisions. He could be so much more successful. He is wasting that seat. Plain and simple, but he's still got the race to turn it around, I suppose. Q3, we have a 16.5 against our name. Crucially in Q2, when we set that 16.4 or whatever it was, we did that on our second lap on the softs. I attempted to do that on my first run here in Q1. My second lap was invalidated because I cut turn 1, so that was unfortunate. But now this is my final lap of the weekends in qualifying, and we're going to see if we can vault ourselves up the order. I could get as high as P4, P3. The two Red Bulls are clearing out well ahead, but the likes of the Haas drivers, the Ferraris, the Williams, they're all within touching distance. We could get those guys if we improve by 3/10. I think we need a 16.2 in order to jump quite a few people. But we'll see how it goes. 2.5 tenths up as we come to Parabolica for the final time. Not a strong corner for me. I'm running with really low downforce, 2.4 wings. So the strength isn't going to be here for us in qualifying and at the high-speed corners. It's going to come in the race. Across the line. Where does it put us? Only P7. So that 16.2 that I was alluding to was over position 4. But we fall short by literally 200ths of a second. Another 200ths, and we're starting on the second row of the grid for the Italian Grand Prix. But to be honest, I can't complain. We are still on paper, the slowest car. But as Danny Kvyat has proven today, you can't trust the performance index. It's basically lying at this point.
All right, I think we can call that a successful qualifying. We should be in with a good chance in the race.
It's race day here in Italy once again. Monza, home to so many records. The smallest winning margin, for example. Do you remember in 1971, Peter Gethin beat Ronnie Peterson to the line by 1/100th of a second. There were 40 overtakes for the lead alone in 1965, and Kimi Räikkönen clocked a record top speed of 230 miles per hour here, just over a decade ago. So there's a lot to live up to then for all of our drivers today. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Now, can I talk to you about Pierre Gasly? There's a new gearbox in the back of that car, which means a grid penalty, and hopefully some excitement as they make their way through the field.
Well, at the end of the day, it's always better to take some pain now than parking it up halfway through the Grand Prix. Let's just hope they can put that new gearbox to good use and get the results they're looking for.
Okay, this is the team's home race. We're all relying on you to impress today.
Thanks, Jeff. Here we are, Italian Grand Prix, starting from P5 due to a few people having grid penalties, so that gives me a better chance of succeeding today. 5 red lights and away we go for an amazing launch. I've got to say, the initial purchase from the rear tyres was incredible. Second and third gear though, forget about it. Turn 1, down into P8, we got absolutely mobbed by Ricciardo and Leclerc. Verstappen was always going to get in front of us with the performance that Red Bull has, and all of a sudden we find ourselves down 3 positions off the start. Devin Butler lining me up for another move. That would demote me down to P9, but let's hopefully break away from him. I have a good feeling about this race, purely because of the straight line performance we've got. 2-4 wings, really aggressive downforce levels. It will be a little bit of a struggle though at the start of this race, just because of the fuel load we've got on board. We can see Devin having a little go into a second Lesmo. Thankfully he backs out of it there, but yeah, it's just going to be a little bit lazy, a little bit cumbersome at the start of this Grand Prix with all that weight on board. But as the fuel load comes off, we should become a little bit more competitive. So that's hopefully the aim. Losing a little bit of touch with the cars ahead. Daniel Ricciardo getting past Charles Leclerc, and also one of the Alfa Romeos, I think, into turn 1. No, he backs out of it and he doesn't end up moving any positions. You can see Verstappen still within touching distance there in P4, but these three are really fighting for sheep stations, it seems, on lap 2 of this Italian Grand Prix. Ricciardo gets blocked in, and I get blocked in by Ricciardo. That gives Devin Butler the run into the first Lesmo. He bullies me out of the way, and he is now in the top 8. So it has been a disastrous start to this Italian Grand Prix. We basically have to cover off the line from Sainz to stop him from going through. Here's the replay. I was like, no, you're not going through. I'm not getting bullied by another driver in this race. It is a far cry from the racing we experienced on F1 2013, 2012, and 2014. The AI in the modern games are just brutal, it seems. We're getting squeezed out again by another person. That is Carlos Sainz. We get a nice run on Devin Butler. This is absolutely crazy stuff here on the start-finish straight. We've got the slipstream on Raikkonen, and that gives us the clear path to P8. Basically cutting across Devin Butler there as we lock up massively into turn 1. We've got nowhere to go except over the sleeping policeman, and we lose a spot for not only Butler but also Carlos Sainz as well. So all that fighting eventually turned to nothing. It's P10. Please, let's not lose any more positions. We just seem to constantly get screwed over by everyone in front squabbling. We just can't seem to get a nice punch or a nice run at the right moment, because these guys are all fighting, and we get held up at the apex, and then it just leaves us vulnerable. Like here we go again. Devin Butler blocks us in, and now Lance Stroll is going to get the slingshot at us into Parabolica. A Willie. Thankfully, we kept slipstream off of Devin Butler, and that kind of stopped us from losing that position. But man, this has been such an unlucky run for us in the opening 3 laps. I can't settle into a rhythm here because these idiots up front can't sort it out, it seems. The slipstream is too powerful on this game. It's too powerful. This isn't realistic racing, but it's exciting racing. So I guess I'll deal with it. We get up the inside of Devin Butler, a very risky overtake there to put our nose on the line there, and it looks like it's worked out for us. We've separated him from the next group of cars. They're not going anywhere, by the way. They're still squabbling away side by side into the middle sector. They finally sort each other out, and Sainz squeezes through for P7. Kimi Raikkonen is the leader of this mini train. Really surprising as well, because the Alpha is still a pretty handy car. So I don't know why they're struggling to get away from this pack. I know why they're not pulling away. It's because Slipstream and DRS, there is absolutely no chance that anyone can pull away. If there was a Red Bull, I think, now, at the head of this queue, now that there's Slipstream, now that there's DRS enabled, I don't think they would get away. It's just a shame that we've allowed them, that is the Red Bull of Verstappen, to get away in the first 3 laps. Now we've lost touch with them. But anyway, we're going around the outside of Charles Leclerc here into turn 1. This is going to be a very brave overtake around the outside. Had to be last of the late breakers there. The major brake upgrade we applied for this race certainly coming in handy there as we get the move done around the outside. I don't know what position we're in now. I think it's P7. But this is the replay. Devin Butler also having a go at Charles Leclerc. It's pretty brutal out there in the field today. You get escorted out of the, I don't know, racing line. If you just get attacked by one person, you get attacked by everyone. And this is a criticism I got from F1 Esports. A lot of their races were like this. So like Austria, for example, I remember, I think it was Sally Saltung saying something like this. He got attacked by one person, and then he just couldn't get back into this train. Oh, maybe it was Danny. I think it was Danny. Regardless, when you get overtaken by one person, you just have to keep on like surrendering positions because he just couldn't tuck back in. It was crazy, but this is on a much larger scale here at Monza. But still, the same principle applies at a power track, which is why I think that the slipstream needs to be toned down for the next game, or we need to have a touch more dirty air in order to counteract how close we can actually follow. But I feel like toning down the slipstream would probably be the ideal way to go. We don't want too much dirty air. But regardless, it is lap 9. We've got ourselves pretty much to the front of this queue. The only person in front of us is Kimi Raikkonen. We were in his slipstream, but then we fell out of it again. So now we're going for an undercut in order to potentially jump him, or at worst, I would want to be within 1 second of him once he makes his pit stop. So I'm trying to get myself back in the race here. It's been a horrendous start by all means, getting attacked by everyone. I'm trying to get myself back in the ball game here by being aggressive, switching onto the mediums early. Tyre wear is not really too much of an issue around this place, and so we're going to utilize the cleared track in front of us to undercut these guys. Now, it is pretty risky because we don't have slipstream. We have to do all of the pace creation ourselves. But I feel like on fresh mediums we should be able to do so. 2 laps later, Raikkonen responds. So too does Lance Stroll, who was behind me prior to the pit stops. It looks like, if anything, we've lost a bit of time with the undercut. So the overcut proving to be pretty well suited to this circuit, which is a little bit unfortunate for us. We now fall into the clutches of Lance Stroll. He is now going to get around the outside of us. To be honest, I'm just going to let him go. The Racing Point has recently made a massive upturn in performance, and so I'm going to use his car to kind of tow me along and hopefully get me back in the battle with Kimi Raikkonen, who is also trying to chase down the Haas of, I think, Nico Hülkenberg. So this is all for a top 5 potentially at the end of the race. I'm just trying to think about the long game here. No point trying to fight Stroll, hold each other up and lose touch with Raikkonen. I want to move forward in this race, and so doing a little bit of forward thinking here and just choosing our battles in order to get the best result possible. 12 laps left to go in this race. I don't imagine the tyre wear is going to be too much of an issue. The only things we have to manage now from here on in is corner cuts, which are pretty easy to do around this place. The ERS and of course the fuel being the biggest issue out of all of them. I have gone a little bit aggressive with the fuel strategy, it seems. I've only got 0.2 of a lap to play with, so I need to pick and choose the areas where I do turn the engine up, and we're doing so on obviously the DRS straights. When we come to the middle sector, this is where we're turning it down to lean to not only recover a bit of fuel but also cool down the engine as well, because when you overheat your engine you're losing a bit of pace as well. But we have a yellow flag just up ahead. 6 laps to go. Kimi Raikkonen is out of the Grand Prix. That's unfortunate because I was thinking we could actually catch him in the dying laps. If anything, I wanted it to be someone like way out front that we weren't going to catch, because then we could have got 2 positions if it was someone else who retired. But regardless, Raikkonen is out of the race, and now it is probably just going to be a straight up fight between myself and Stroll. However, Ricciardo is now full into the clutches of Nico Hülkenberg now, so these two are fighting away and are only about 4 seconds up the road. So we could potentially get these 2 guys if they continue to fight. I'm going to work with Stroll here to catch up with the next 2 cars. So this isn't over just yet. If these 2 guys weren't up the road within touching distance, I probably would have tried to overtake Stroll for position. But at this stage, there's no point doing that. Stroll is still faster than us. But we do have a chance on this straight to have a go. Looks like we do have slightly a bit of pace over him at this stage. Maybe he's saving a little bit of fuel, or he's charging up his battery for a last lap assault in this Italian Grand Prix. We've got a yellow flag up ahead. Someone else has got an engine failure. It's Nico Hülkenberg. He's held up Lance Stroll massively, and we've got the illegal overtake warning to let him go back through. And that is so costly because, again, it's a car that we arguably might have been able to catch up with in the dying laps. It is... we've got a position, but it's also allowed, Daniel Ricciardo to get away, but it's also slowed us up and prevented us from having any chance of catching up. So, it's just been the story of the race, hasn't it? Like, we've not had a great run, although this is going to be a fantastic result, P5 or P6, doesn't matter. We've just, at nearly every opportunity, just been, I don't know, constantly been interrupted in this race. We haven't really had a proper go at it, to be honest. It's been quite frustrating in many ways because we qualified in P5. We showed really good pace over 1 lap. I thought I was going to be stronger in the race, but it hasn't really materialized in that way. It's been really hard to do anything in dirty air, despite having the slipstream and the DRS. At times, I've really just felt stuck. And even now on this last lap, where I'm actually trying to get in front of Lance Stroll now, it seems like he's upped his pace as well. The stakes are much higher, and so we may not get this guy. You can see we're now overdriving. We're throwing absolutely everything out now on this last lap. We may as well, because there's a big gap to the cars behind. We may as well go hell for leather here at Ascari, pushing maximum through here. Lucas Weber has won the Grand Prix. We get a bit wayward, a bit sideways, and we get a track extend and a 3-second time penalty. So that pretty much condemns us to P6 in this Grand Prix. But by no means is that a disaster. That is a very good result, and probably a very fair one as well. We come out of the final corner absolutely sideways. No fuel left, no tyres, but 8 points.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Brilliant stuff from Red Bull today. What a superb victory. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Breaking news, Nico Hulkenberg's podium streak has come to an end, meaning we have someone different standing on the top step. K-Mag fills that position, and the Tifosi at least have something to cheer about. Would you say Alfa Romeo? Yeah, Alfa Romeo is kind of an Italian team, so I guess they will have that minor victory. It's P6. Penalty on the last lap didn't cost us. Danny Kvyat couldn't get through the traffic all too well. He did overtake a few cars, but... Oh wait, no he didn't. He started P10. What am I on about? See, I'm so used to him starting in last that I thought he moved up. But no, he's fallen backwards. So it's not been a race where Toro Rosso made the most of their potential. Qualifying one, we were P6 and P7. Danny, realistically, should have been in Q3. Should have been with me. Should have moved forward in the race. But, I don't know. I can't blame him too much. It really was a lottery out there. He probably got attacked just like I did.
Good day today. Let's have your take on it. You're beating all expectations. Would you say we all underestimated you?
You shouldn't underestimate a world champion. That's all I'll say.
Your old teammate had a much better race this weekend. Do you think we can expect more wins from him?
I'd hope so. The Red Bull is pretty competitive. So, yep.
You're now ahead of your old F2 rival in the championship. That must feel good.
Ah, yeah. It's pretty good, actually.
What happened with your fuel strategy today?
Like I said, I didn't change anything on the fuel strategy. I didn't make it any heavier than what it should have been, and I pushed too hard at the end, and it cost us.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Well, it didn't really cost us too much. We didn't lose any positions. We literally only ran out of fuel in the final, 100 meters. But the team are pretty angry with that response, it seems. Kind of weird, considering I only, like I said, ran out of fuel in the final 100 meters. But they are... It's left a sour taste in their mouth, it seems. But resource points wise, we've now got nearly 2,000 to spend for this race. We are going to go for a ultimate rear downforce upgrade. Like I said, we are struggling for downforce. That was evident this weekend. I really should have made it a little bit more clear, but you might have seen a few points over the course of the weekend where, at Parabolica especially, you could see the AI really getting nice mid-corner speed through there, and they were clearly breaking away from us. That was unfortunate turn of events for us today. But, I didn't do myself any favors by having, 2-4 wings. It was weird, like, fastest in the speed traps all weekend, and we couldn't overtake people. We were pretty much just, I don't like near the rev limiter. So there wasn't too much we could do. I feel like the Toro Rosso has got some really short gear ratios, because not only at Monza, but at other tracks as well. When I get to qualifying, I feel like I'm pretty much banging on the rev limiter and can't go any faster. So it's pretty weird, especially when I still have an extra ultimate engine upgrade to go. I hope that can raise the ceiling of how fast we can go in a straight line, but I will hold my breath until that upgrade actually goes on the car. But guys, that has been this race weekend for today. A pretty ridiculous one, like lots of aggression, especially in those early laps. We got our elbows out, we got ourselves to the front of the queue that we were in, respectively, and I feel like we came out with a pretty good result, although by the same token, I really wish I would have got on the front foot right from the outset and followed Max Verstappen to what could have been a podium, but regardless, it was still a good result. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content, and until the next race, the Singapore Grand Prix, I'll see you next time.